Warning, the following video may contain sequences which some viewers may find disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Alright, so this story is a cold case. It's unsolved to this day. This is the case of Nori Amaya. She was killed on Halloween night, October 31st, 2009. I wanted to go over this case because it is one of the very rare cases that, well, you'll see what I mean. As always, let's get to know her a bit first. Nori has had a difficult life. Her brother, who really is the family member that seems to be spearheading the search for her killer, said that when he was just a toddler, he, his sisters, and his mother immigrated to the US from El Salvador. They wanted to have a better life. Apparently, they survived wars back in El Salvador, and this would mean that they lived through the civil war that went on there in the 80s and stopped in the 90s. The hardship didn't stop there. When Nori was in her early 20s, she was diagnosed with brain cancer. After going through 2 surgeries and years of recovery, she was okay again. She opened up a restaurant with her brother, and things were going good. Nori was a fun-loving woman. She was nicknamed the Salsa Queen. She was a fighter, a businesswoman, and a loving sister. Her brother was only a few years younger than her, and he and her were very close. They were close as children in school, and just by the way he expresses himself when speaking about her, you can tell that he isn't lying, and her death touched him deeply. Now that we know a bit about her and her background, let's go into just what happened to her and why after 15 years, at the time of this video posting at least, why after 15 years, a culprit cannot be found. As stated earlier, this happened on October 31st, 2009, on Halloween night. After sharing a bottle of wine with her brother, Nori closed the restaurant they owned for the evening. She had plans to go dancing. She was dressed in all black and wearing a flashy colored peacock mask that her brother, whose name was Carlos, helped make. After parting there, that was the last time Carlos would have ever seen her alive. After leaving there, she went to the Rumba Cafe. She was dating the owner, and from there she went to the Russia House and then to Bravo Bravo just to dance and have a good time. But it was also said that she had visited a couple other locations that day, likely parties. Her brother said in an interview later that she did call him at some point in the night and asked where he was, and he said he was at a party, but it was boring, so don't even bother coming. So there might be some truth in those claims. Anyways, after enjoying her night, she took a cab home at about 2:30 in the morning. There was even security camera footage that showed her walking into her apartment at that time. The next morning, Carlos didn't see her. In fact, the day went without him seeing her. Carlos said he didn't really worry at that point. He knew that she and her boyfriend at the time was having issues, so she just probably needed some alone time. Another thing to note is that Nori had apparently left her phone in the cab she used to get home that night, and the cab driver called her mother to let her know that. Good guy, wouldn't you say? Anyways, let's continue. Carlos picked it up for her and held on to it since he was supposed to see her anyways. But when another day passed without any word from Nori, Carlos became worried. So he went to her apartment, but no one answered. So he just assumed she was sleeping. He left, but came back later that evening, but this time with his other sister, Blanca, as well as the security for the building. When they entered, that is when they discovered everything. Nori was in her bed, wrapped in bed sheets, dead. Carlos said when he saw her, he couldn't help but just scream, "Nori, wake up! Wake up, Nori!" He said he tried to revive her, but she was already blue. She was long dead. Police were called, detectives arrived, and the investigation began. While investigating, it was discovered that all of Nori's fingernails were removed. Whoever did this didn't want his DNA on the scene. But Carlos said that you could have told that there was a struggle. The culprit's attempts were in vain, and they did find DNA. However, they have no match. They don't even have a named suspect. Carlos believes that the culprit had to be someone that Nori knew. Carlos is fearful that as more and more years go by, the investigation is becoming colder and colder, and sadly, that might even be the case. Not a single arrest with regards to this case. However, something was taken from the apartment. What that was taken was withheld from the public, but whatever that was taken would surely identify the killer. DNA tests were conducted though, but no matches in over 20 people. Going through the security footage of the apartment complex, it mainly just had people walking in and out in Halloween outfits, so ultimately, the footage was useless. Alright, now that we went through what happened, let's talk about some theories here, cause really that's all we can do, theorize. And even I have to admit, this one's hard to put a finger on. Not even the footage showed that anyone entered through anywhere, so how the hell did someone get in her apartment? The window? The ceiling? The floor? Where on earth did this person enter from? The DNA found matches nobody in their database. So, is it possible this killer was foreign? I don't know, I'm just throwing ideas out there, because I think at this point, your guess is better than mine. There was a struggle, we know that much. Not only Carlos, but investigators believe it is someone Nori knew. But the big question is who? She was the salsa queen, so she spent a lot of time partying. It's possible it could have been someone from a party or dance she attended, but the problem with that is that this wasn't a one-off thing with her. Nori went dancing often. Do you have any idea of how many people are over there at parties? It's a lot, I'll tell you that much. A lot. Now, even if we go with the idea that it was a person from a party or club or dancing place, still, how on earth did he get inside without being caught on any camera whatsoever? I really can't understand it. I don't know. Cases like this need a witness, or someone who knew the culprit. This is one of those cases. Whoever did this had a way in and out of the apartment, out of the view of every camera. And again, because there's no real suspect, there is nothing anyone can really do. Even if the investigator might have a hunch, you can't arrest someone based on that. This is just sad, genuinely sad. Something else Carlos said is quite true, is that the killer could still be out there. He could have killed again, we wouldn't know. And it is scary knowing a killer like this is potentially out there, one that can kill in a way that no one could even do anything about it. So many questions can even be brought up about the killer himself. Is he really calculated, or was he just extremely lucky? Is he a serial killer? Did he pick her? Did he have some sort of gripe with her? Did he just do all of this on a whim? Oh, and by the way, the DNA was confirmed to belong to a male. The DNA didn't match her boyfriend, so it's not him, if that's what you were wondering. In any case, I hope that one day her killer is found and is brought to justice. Nori deserves that much, her family deserves that much, her friends and loved ones, they all deserve that much. I really wish I could say more, but I can't. This might be ultimately useless, but if you know anything, please imagine if it was your loved one, you would want to know the one who took that person away from you. So if you do know something, please say something. Whoever this killer is still at large. The next victim could be someone you care about, your friend, your family, or maybe it could be yourself. It always leaves a bad taste in your mouth when there's a case that you can't figure out no matter how hard you try. But if you ask me, or had to ask me, it's possible the killer wasn't a local, which would explain why there was no DNA record of him, and it's also possible that if he did kill her and was a foreigner, he could have left the US. And if that's the case, sadly, this case might never be solved. But at the same time, whoever did this could also possibly have extensive knowledge of the building, possible he knew exactly how to get in and out while undetected. He knew where she in particular lived. She went home in a cab that did not seem to be followed, so it's possible the killer was probably there and waiting. There's so many possibilities of what went down that night. So many. Too many at this time, and not enough known facts to rule out enough to at least have a course of action to go with. In any case, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, so I think we can end things here. I really do hope that one day this gets solved and that her family can find some way to move on.